Latoya Maddox is a disabled African American woman with long black locks. She's wearing a green shirt and is sitting in her motorized wheelchair.
Good evening. My name is Latoya, and I'm here to discuss access, accommodations, and universal design. So, before I get started, I just want you to know that some of the things that I'm going to discuss in this video will not be what you read on the website, or um, they might be repeated in the links. I'm going to try my best not to repeat anything that I wrote down in the text. How I came about doing this video. I was asked, and I have background in talking about access when it comes to accessibility, and a lot about accommodations. I'm a little new to universal design, but I believe that I can talk about it enough to get give everybody good gist of information where they feel comfortable talking about it and learning more about universal design. So I have been, advocating about access for not only myself but for future students at a college that I went to and an internship that I was at, because of the internship I asked, like, how many individuals with disabilities do you guys work with, and they were like, I mean, not you guys but you all, how many disabled individuals do you all work with? And they were like, not many people come to do these type of projects that have disabilities. And I was like, oh well, that's not good, and maybe here's some reasons why they might not come. And then after that, they decided that they would give me a project to make them a template, which I did look for. Unfortunately, I couldn't find it, so I made them a template all about access when it comes to accessibility, accommodations, and I may have mentioned universal design, I'm not too sure. And with my college, the professors were pretty open about learning about how things work when it comes to social work, in a for a person with a disability, because a lot of things that are done social work wise are medical. They're like medical model, and I discussed that where I work and all that I do is more social model and consumer first. So there's that. So let's begin. When I talk about accessibility, I'm not just talking about entering bathrooms, entering restaurants, entering buses. I'm talking about having language across the board, like ASL on buses, or having a screen with a sign language interpreter for the deaf person so that they know when their stop is coming up or what stop will be next, or if they miss their stop, away, or a light that flashes in the back of the bus or in the front of the bus so that the deaf person knows it's time to get off, or accessibility in a restaurant where there's probably like a kiosk screen where a person who is deaf can, or video relay, it's called video phone, where they can call this specific number to reach a sign language interpreter, and the sign language interpreter can interpret to the waitress or waiter what the deaf person wants to eat, instead of them having to try to read English, because English is not a deaf person's first language. It is most times their second language, or English or any language is their second language, because sign language is their first language, and sign language is not regular English, it's broken English. And not that that's a bad thing. Shorthand to me, I used to know sign language like it was nothing, but now I'm a little fuzzy, but it comes back. And we're not just talking about people who are deaf. We are talking about people who are blind having screen readers or some type of screen reader that could read the menu for them. Having some type of people who are blind having when they open up a restaurant door, telling them, if you move a little to the left, there's a bench to the left for you to wait, and an announcement saying, "Oh, this establishment is tables. They have tables that are full. Um, Come back in 15, 25, 45 minutes, and we should have something available for you once you check in at the desk, like most people have to do when they go to restaurants and they're crowded." For a person who uses a wheelchair, there should be a way where restaurants and tables raise up or go down so that a person like myself won't have to bend over, things, bend over too far to feed myself because a lot of places where I go, again, is not, they're not versed with people who have disabilities. So places where I go out to eat, I have to sit at a standard table and bend down to eat, which, sometimes makes me feel full because, you press on your stomach. It makes you feel full a lot of times. So, and a lot of times I don't be full. And when I get home, I eat the rest of my food, but I'm at a table where I don't have to bend as much. Um, we're talking about people with disabilities who have, sensory, being able to go to restaurants and not feel threatened in any way because it's too loud, the lights are too bright, things of that nature. And when it comes to accessibility and how you ask, you can, call the establishment, say, "Hey, I was there yesterday with my boyfriend or girlfriend or whoever, my friends, my mom did, and it wasn't that not accommodating, but it wasn't that accessible for me. Is there any way we can talk about how to make this establishment more accessible for people with disabilities?" And if they're open and willing to do this, it should be nothing hard. I mean, nothing, no, they're not willing to do. A lot of establishments nowadays want to be more acclimated with people with disabilities. They want to be able to be open and treat people with disabilities as equals. Sometimes you may have to write a letter to the CEO of the organization because the manager or CEO is not having it. So you have to go above their head and write a formal letter, make phone calls, and sometimes you then have to take things a little further and protest against these establishments. I know, some people look at it like, "Oh, disabled people make that look like so easy." It's not. Like, they have to hold up an establishment because they're not treating a person with a disability right. It's not something that we want to do, but it's something that we have to do because we want access just like anybody else has access to that establishment. Next, I'm going to talk about accommodations. There's a lot of different accommodations. You can ask for accommodations in apartments. You can ask for accommodations again in restaurants. You can ask for accommodations in your car. You can ask for accommodations at your, uh, you know, uh, if you buy a house, you need accommodations or modifications done. You can ask for things like that. And accommodations are like something that will make you be your best self, doing what you as much as you can with minimal assistance. So I can speak for myself when I say that some of the accommodations that I have at work is that I have a desktop desk, so to say. It's like a desk on top of my cubicle desk that raises and goes down, so I don't have to bend down too tight, and I don't have to build like a desk up to eye level where I can see a screen and type at the same time. Um, I've done that like using telephone books and other things, boxes, Yeah, so like I was saying, the desk on my desk, the adjustable desk on my desk, on my standard desk, raises up and down so I don't have to bend as much. I have a mouse stick that I use to type. Here you go. It's another accommodation that I have so that I can work and not need any assistance with typing. Um, at home, I have a desk that raises up and down. Another accommodation that I have grab bars, but you have that accommodation. That accommodation can come uh, broad, like you can have it at a restaurant, an accessible bathroom. You go to a restaurant and they don't have grab bars and accessible bathroom, you can ask for that as an accommodation. Because if you go there a lot, or disabled people frequently use that establishment and they have an accessible restroom stall, you can request that they put grab bars in. And way you can do that is by asking, hey, can I speak to the manager? And you talk to the manager about what's going on. And if that doesn't work, you send a formal letter. And if that doesn't work, you guys speak to the CEO. And if that does not work, then you stand your ground. Do what you gotta do best. A bunch of people with disabilities all frequently go to this establishment and there's no grab bars in the bathroom, and you want to demand that they put grab bars in the bathroom, you have yourself a little mini action. Universal design is for, like, it's broad, not broad, but it's for everybody, no matter your religion, no matter your age, no matter your gender, no matter sexual preference. Doesn't matter. Universal design is so that all people with disabilities, or all people in general, can use the establishment, and be their best selves. So you got 10 people with 10 different disabilities going to uh, an arcade, and this arcade was built universally designed for people with disabilities. All 10 people should be able to walk, or not walk, walk, roll, um, however, out of the establishment saying, wow, that was the best experience I had at an arcade. I could use everything. I could play every game. I didn't feel as though I was like at a standard Dave and Buster's, so to say, where I have to sit next to the car because I can't get out of my wheelchair to turn, or to actually play the game. So I don't have to sit there and watch somebody else play. I can actually play for myself. Um, and you can even do this with bathrooms. You can do this with uh, fitting rooms. Like, make it so that everybody feels included. Like, nobody will feel as though they're not, like, somebody who is, transgender with a disability. They go into a establishment and they're not fully, you know, uh, finished their transition. And they want to use the ladies' room, but they can't, or not the ladies' room, the ladies' fitting room, but they have to use the men's because, you know, because they're not fully, transitioned. So, uh, and a universal design, it wouldn't matter. Like, gender neutral bathrooms, I guess, would be one of the best ways I could think of universal design. And even that, for some people with disabilities, would not be was fit. Universal design is what we want to see, is what we would like to see. And I don't think I'll be able to see it in my lifetime, but my son or my younger disabled friends may be able to see it in theirs. And again, requesting this from establishments frequently used by disabled people is one way of doing it. And sending letters, making phone calls to Congress saying, hey, they have this new arcade being built. We need to have universal design, and we want to see at the table when it comes to talking about making accommodation and accessibility. How do we do this? Then if nobody wants to listen, you just shut it down. Not shut it down, but you protest. Tell people do, because sometimes you have to use your voice, and your voice can be, even silent people have a loud voice. People who are silent, people with disabilities who do not cannot talk, can have a big voice when it comes to advocating for themselves. And I'm sure somebody else on the in this on this website is talking about advocacy, so I'm not going to get too much into that. But remember, stand your ground. Don't let anyone walk over you when it comes to access and accessibility, accommodations, or universal design. If you know what you want and you know how to get it, then do that. Again, my name is Latoya Maddox, and I would like to thank you for watching this video. Good night.